came in was like a whole level of growth,
Mm-hmm.
and how our parents grew. Like some parents grew with us, and other parents didn't. So, I was saying how when I was raised, when I was coming up, my mom was one of those people like, what I say go, and it's
Mm-hmm.
what I tell you, and that's it. Like, and so we talk about the whole aspect of not having a voice or a certain identity within our homes, which kind of hindered the way we grew up into adulthood. And so the thought that I had was that it's amazing, for me, I've watched my parents grow this time with my sister, not necessarily with me, but with my sister. The way they
That's what we
parent
did.
is much different than when I was raised. So that was my thought on how it affected me now, how it affects me now.
Well, I think it's a time and a place for everything. I think, which I see a lot now. I think that the parents are like forcing, forcing children to make like decisions that I feel like we shouldn't. And I think it's a thing of respect that you learn that as a kid you don't necessarily like what you're doing, but at the same time there are things that just are too big to conceptualize as a child. But I do think, as you get older, it's like you almost have to gain your parents' respect. Sometimes they be like, stay in the child's place, or I'm gonna tell you if you don't tell you. And then you grow up and you become, 16, 17, 18, when you start really finding a mind for yourself, when you can speak up, even if your parents tell you not to, and you don't have to be disrespectful, but you do eventually learn how to voice your opinion. And and the thing is, like when you're young, I feel like when you are young, you do have to just learn just respect and manners and stuff like that. That's what is really instilling, because you have a lot of kids nowadays who on the internet cursing out whoever they want to, or hopping in grown folks conversation and thinking they know everything, and you just looking like, who taught you this? Like, where you get this from, man? So I think it's like you do have to find a balance, and I think our parents, I come from a quote unquote, older set of parents. My parents were, my mom, she was in her 30s. So, it's like a wider age gap. So, they have younger parents. So it's like the dynamics are different now than, what they were. But, I think it's a time and a place. But, ultimately, I think it's good that, we at least are considering our kids' feelings. And I think that's what they didn't do. Like, they kind of just spoke for us without us really, is that really what I want? Or are you just saying that because you want me to have it? So, you know, that's my little 2 cents.
Hmm. That Jane brought up is that it's hard to unlearn the things that we were taught, and so I wanted to expound on it. Like, what does that mean for y'all? Like, how do you apply that to your current situation of adulting?
I guess I'll go. For me, growing up, we talked, but it wasn't never on a level of like, are you okay? Like, what are you thinking? Like, what do you think about that? Or and for me, it wasn't like we had like choices growing up. It was like, oh, you gonna do what I tell you to do. You gonna eat what kind of cereal I buy. You gonna wear what kind of clothes. Like, like stuff like that. And for me, with being an adult and having a kid of my own, I try to now just sit back and be like, okay, so what kind of cereal do you like? Or just kind of giving him the chance to have a choice, if that makes sense. Like, giving him a chance to speak and to have feelings and to tell me, oh, mama, I don't like that, and me respecting that and not being like, oh, I don't care what you don't like. This is what I think. And so like having like that kind of relationship as a child, it kind of it hurts, and you grow up to be an adult and you be like, well, when you have the opportunity to think for yourself and to make your own choices, it's like you kind of have doubt then. It's like, is this the best thing for me? And it kind of like, it affects you sooner on, but it takes you having to sit back and be like, like, okay, this is what I want. This is what I believe in. This is how I want to live my life. And you have to like preach it, and you have to practice that with your family and with your surroundings and stuff like that. So
right.
That's my take on it.
So the other part of that I feel like you said something about making your own choices. I think that's why I have like this slight bit of indecisiveness. Like I'm indecisive about a lot, and so more so like I realized that a couple of years ago, like when you start buying your own clothes, it's simple stuff like that. Like it was hand-me-downs for years, and now all of a sudden you have to go out and buy what you like, what you think looks good on you, and it's simple stuff like that that has completely affected the way that we operate. Like that's crazy. Like those small little things have affected, the simple things.
Yeah. I agree. Go find it. Go in the back and ask them to do it for you.
But nah, that is true, because it's just like, I know for me, like, as we all of us stay in a child place. So me, even as a child, if I was to see stuff was wrong, I wouldn't speak on it, couldn't speak on it. So we like just let it roll off, whatever. But now, since I've got older, that's one thing, like say, that was learned. So now it's like opening my mouth when I be like, whatever. Like got so much going on up here, but physically won't say nothing about it. So
do you think that affected the way that you express yourself? Like being that you weren't able to say much then, do you think that affects how you operate within your relationships with other people?
I don't think so, and the reason I say this is because a lot of people tell me, I think more people see it than I do, that I am outspoken, and I have realized, like, I guess because growing up I had to keep quiet. It's like the older I get now, the more I don't take, the more I guess you could say my nerves are bad, but it's just a lot of stuff like if you aggravating or if I'm aggravated with you or you have aggravated me, I'm going to let you know. And I guess now for me, some people say, oh, you mean, you rude, but I just see it as being truthful and being honest, because I've gotten to a point of a mindset where if your mindset don't match my mindset, we can't be friends, we can't be in a relationship, we can't be nothing. And I guess that's for me saying, I'm gonna speak my mind. If you don't like it, you just don't like it. So I have, I guess what you could say, unlearned keeping my mouth shut, but you have to also learn, you have to watch who you're talking to, because people don't have the same mindset as you. You can come off as rude and mean when in yourself, this is just me, I'm just speaking my truths, but everybody not on that same mindset level. When you're talking to people, you gotta kind of remember, okay, am I dealing with somebody who's, you can be an adult with a child mindset in certain areas. You can be of age.
So you keep saying you can be adult with a child mindset. What makes you an adult?
See this reverse. See, you went to school for psychology and all this stuff. See this reverse psychology.
I'm just saying, like, what makes you what makes a person an adult?
I mean, I guess what they say, when as an adult, you can accept your faults. And a lot of times, us growing up as kids and all that stuff, I didn't do that. That wasn't me. That was them. But growing up, like when you into adulthood, you have to accept your wrongs, and sometimes you have to accept the wrong for the right. And it's like as kids, we want to be petty towards each other and be like, well, no, this is really how it went. But sometimes as an adult, you just have to learn how to sit back and be like, you know what? I know what happened. You know what happened. But I'm gonna let it be. It's like as an adult, you choose your battles. You just know when to let things go. You know, okay, I played my part. I'm admitting to what I did, and you let it go.
Mm-hmm. Anybody
You
else
leave
want
it
to
in the
answer
other
that
person.
question?
I was gonna piggyback off of two things she said. I'm gonna start with what she just said. I think one being that I think we all are young adults. I think we are still learning what adult is because we are just making that big gap. At least I can speak for myself. But I think we just like we just really starting to get in the beginning phases of being an adult. And I think the biggest thing I guess I learned is what kind of makes you an adult is how you react to situations. And when life hits you in different, facets of your life, how do you take that incident and you move past it? I think as children, we look for someone to solve our solutions all the time. I think as adults, you have to become creative in how you're going to find your solution because even me being an adult, sometimes I do have to ask my parents, what would be the best way to handle this or what way to be the thing is. And they're going to give me like what their advice is, or you talk to somebody else and you have to take all that and then make a conscious decision versus, some people, they either expect somebody else to figure it out or it becomes somebody else's fault. They stay in self pity. And I think as you get older, you start to see people who have that type of mentality or have that type of way of handling the situation usually carry on that throughout life hard choices. Like you'll look at people and you'll be like, how did you end up like that? And you talk to them and it was like, man, I had this, but such and such was supposed to do this, so such and such is supposed to do this, so I can't do what I want to do because they always messing with me or it's everybody against me, and I don't do nothing to nobody, and so it just becomes like this long cycle of it's somebody else's fault or I didn't do it because they were trying to hold me down, and it's just like nah. Like sometimes we get into stuff that we create, and it's like, well, how do you take how you gonna change those things? And it's not easy and it's not gonna happen overnight, but eventually you have to recognize like self-fault and or how not to do things and how this or dealing with the consequences of stuff. Sometimes we do things and there's a consequence, and sometimes we want to self-pity, but sometimes it's like I did it, I made a mistake and I learned from it, or and you learning from it. And sometimes as an adult you're gonna make mistakes and you're gonna do it again, and sometimes you got to touch the stove a few more times, but eventually you get it. And I think that's what kind of going from that childish mindset to an adult mindset for me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then about the talk thing, I think we focus on like some of the negative things that being taught, and like some of the things that you taught that you stick with. But I look at it like the positive things my parents instilled in me that makes me whole. Even the flaws of your parents end up making you a whole person. Because you sit back and you analyze, well, when I have my children or when I have my situation, when I would do this, I would like to change that. So you do psychoanalyze like every situation because you're gonna, because I feel like my parents, they taught me so much that stick with me still to this day, and I can honestly say it's more positive than negative. Because best believe me and my mom, we done came head to head. Me and my dad, we done came head to head. And like you kind of say with her, I felt like in my house, especially with me being the youngest, you have to find your voice, and that's why I was like saying previously, like, stay in a child's place. No one's talking to you. Da da da. I dealt with it, like especially being younger, and I always looked at the youngest in the house. But I guess I don't know if it was just a man thing or whatever. But it's like eventually I started speaking up. Eventually, like I started like, look, nah, like I disagree with that, and you're not gonna make me agree with something that you're saying because you want that. Like I disagree with that. I feel like there's other ways, and it's crazy because now I'm not the most argumentative in the house, but they say I raise hell if need be. So it's just crazy because I came from, at the beginning I was kind of the more kind of soft spoken one, kind of laid back. I just did what everybody told me to the one to be like, nah, I'm doing my own thing. it's just gonna be like that, or I have my own opinions and stuff. So yeah.
This is true.